packing, waiting for Emma. Ooh, the light looks awful. Is that because you've stood there? It's really dark now. Oh, that's better.
Is she there?
Right, I've started. Story of your day.
No, she's got to request.
Yeah, Emma, you've got to request to join. Hang on, I'll just put it in here. Go live with.
Oh, story of your day.
Yeah. Add. Right, it should be bringing you up now, Emma. Ooh, by the magic. Waiting for you. Connecting. Hooray! Oh my God, thank God for technology. I think there's no Wi-Fi in Switzerland. That's probably why.
I don't think, don't go blaming the Wi-Fi in Switzerland.
It's probably far better with you. Anyway, how are you?
I'm okay. I think maybe we should have discussed whether I was portrait or landscape before we started.
Well, I'm portrait.
Yeah, so am I, but I can only, anyway, let's not worry about the technicals. Have a glass of wine.
I know. I need a glass of wine now. I've only got water. Anyway.
I think it's because I missed the little request thing that came up because it comes up quite quickly.
Oh, okay. That's fine. We'll know for the next time. Hey, we're all learning this new way of working. Don't panic. It's all
but
fine.
You think as a videographer I'd be on IGTV and doing lives all the time, but I'm just not.
You're far too busy editing all your proper films, aren't you?
Yeah. No.
Yeah. Anyway, so let's introduce you. So Emma is from Story of Your Day, a videographer I've worked with for many years. And she has, how long have you been in Switzerland?
Been here just over 3 years. We moved in November, so 3.5 years.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So even though she's living over there, she does fly back to the UK and does a lot of video filming, over here and all over the world as well, don't you? So anyway, so first thing is tell us all about you and how you got into the business and all about your company.
Okay, so our story of your day, actually I'm coming up for a 10-year anniversary.
Oh.
A good way to gauge it is the age of my second born son, because it was after that I got into it. So
right.
I was working at the BBC at the time, and a former BBC colleague who was then turned into a wedding photographer suggested, why don't you do wedding videography? I'd never even heard of the word videography, but I was a video journalist at the BBC at the time. Right. And I thought, oh God, I can't think of anything worse. But anyway, it was a bit coincidental, because then a colleague from work asked me to film their wedding, and then my brother-in-law asked me to film his wedding. So I thought, well, I'll have a go. And I just loved it. So for about 3 years, I did both. I was like 3/4 times at the BBC, reading the news and as a video journalist for BBC Look North. And the rest of the time, I mean, I never saw my family at the weekends because I read the news every Sunday, and every Saturday I was filming a wedding. So I had to make a decision. I decided to leave the BBC and go alone at Story of a Day. My dad didn't talk to me for a couple of months. But it gave me loads of flexibility, and it did allow the fact that when my husband James wanted to come to Switzerland on what was supposed to be a 6-month sabbatical, I was able to come with him because it was actually editing season. I thought, oh, I'll do a bit of skiing, a bit of wedditing, but I never got hardly any skiing in because I had 23 weddings to edit.
Oh my God.
So mostly then I was doing weddings in the UK and a couple in France and 1 or 2 Italy. But now I film weddings all over the world. So this last year I was actually filming an anniversary party in Malibu.
Oh my God. And, yeah, I remember you telling me about that.
That was a bit crazy, going from a wedding on Lake Thun in Switzerland, going straight to Zurich Airport and flying to Los Angeles, going back in time, picked up from the airport, chauffeured to the venue, having a little kip on the plane, and then filming the party straight away. But the next day I was able to relax with them all on Paradise Cove Beach. That was okay. So I've been to Australia filming weddings, so all over Europe. So yeah, I film weddings all over the world. But I do sometimes come back to the UK and film weddings as well.
Yeah, good to know. Good to have that. And so
especially when you come along and
thanks, Sarah. So you don't miss the BBC then? You don't miss working there or that kind of routine of life? Because it's really different, isn't it, in our industry?
Well, one of the interesting things is when I was at the BBC, I was constantly toying with the idea of whether I should be a correspondent or not. But I really, really hated the idea of stories dragging over to the next day, So I stuck with being an on-the-day reporter, which meant that, you know, every story I'd go in the morning, be assigned to that story, and the story would be finished by the time I got home that night. And I really loved that. I had nothing hanging over me. But this obviously is nothing like that. And going from that sort of world to where my husband would probably say now is I'm never off work, ever.
Yeah,
I'm always working. And obviously projects go on. So I don't just do weddings. I have another company called The Story Creative. So I do a lot of work around in Switzerland for big cable car companies. Sounds a bit boring and technical, but actually it's really good fun.
Yeah.
So I do that as well. So that keeps me more local. So there's a mix of that. And as you know, I also do videography training workshops as well. So
yeah. So it keeps it interesting, doing lots of different things. Yeah, a bit like me.
Exactly. But it means I never switch off, and that's why we often speak at like 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah, we do quite often. Yeah,
Well, my 11 o'clock, your 10 o'clock.
Yeah, exactly. And I always forget where we are with times, because it is, isn't it? When you're chatting to couples all around the world, it's like, oh God, I always have to Google it first. And like I was chatting to a couple yesterday in New York, thinking, right, I must Google the time. And so I don't suggest some ridiculous time in the morning to them that they're not up.
Yeah.
So it's, you have to keep on top of all of the different time zones. But so then tell me about a typical, well, it's going to be different, isn't it? I suppose if you're flying back. So tell me about a typical day, a wedding day in the life of Story of Your Day, if it's back in the UK and you've flown back already.
The thing is, for me, every wedding is a destination wedding. And because I live in Wengen, which is a car-free Swiss ski resort, I actually, even if I film a wedding here in Switzerland, I can rarely get back the same night. And if I have to start early in the morning, I have to go. So I'm normally away from the family for 3 days for every wedding.
Gosh.
But a typical wedding day, I have the same thing that a lot of wedding videographers I know have, those horrible nightmares at night that you're not there on time, and you've gone to the wrong address, etc., etc. So and I don't see the point in starting later on in the day. And because my ethos is a woman with a camera telling your story, it means I see that I can't turn up late because I can't tell half a story. So I can start really, really early, depending on when the wedding ceremony starts. But I'd say on average I start between 8 and 9 in the morning with bride prep. I'm mostly a solo shooter. You know that about me. I sometimes have a second shooter depending on the logistics, if the groom's getting ready far away from the bride. But I like being a solo shooter because it makes me very discreet, but it also means I can't be a magician. I can't be in 2 places at once. Yeah. So I work really closely with my couples and my clients, so they know exactly where I'm going to be and at what time. So I know where I'm going to be and at what time. And so I start normally with either the groom prep or the bride prep, and then I move about an hour ahead of time to the ceremony to set up 3 cameras. I either have 3 or 4 cameras, even as a solo shooter, and all my audio devices. And then I have a call sheet that I've worked out well in advance with my couples and all their details. And I finish sometimes a little way through the dancing. Sometimes I stay dancing. I know that we've done that before. Yeah. I never put my camera down, which is one thing you'll notice about me. And that's the same for destination weddings. For a destination wedding, I normally film with a couple the day before. And people say we never see you without a camera in your hand.
Yeah, but you never know when something's going to happen. So that's good, isn't it? Yeah.
I think you've got it, and then something else happens, and you just have to be ready for that. Yeah. And that's where my news background comes in really quickly. It's anticipating what's going to happen, being able to act discreetly, but able to manage to work fast and capture that moment, so that you can retell it in the film. And if there's fireworks, I stay for the fireworks. Sometimes there's a brunch the next morning, and again, I'll stay for that. Yeah. And then I head on back. But my average wedding day is about, probably like yours actually, Lucy, is about 17 hours. Something like that.
Yeah, I think
I don't charge by the hour. I mean, I know that photographers do, but I don't. They commission me to tell their story, and I'm there for whatever time.
And I know just from the couples, loads of couples we've worked together, your in-depth pre-wedding preparation is just phenomenal. I mean, like mine is covering every detail, the questions that you ask them, and into just how they got engaged, how they met, and that building up exactly as you said, that whole story. And that is so important, so that you know about that couple on the day, rather than just, right, you're just going like, you know, I don't know, some videographers may just kind of have a conversation or a chat with them and think, yeah, great, they're a lovely couple, turn up on the day. Then I'm not know many that would be as involved and know as in-depth amount of information about the couples as you request from them, which I think is a really great thing, to know them, their personalities, their likes. You kind of get to know, okay, back off a bit, the groom doesn't, you know, you're not gonna love a joke, or you know, the bride's really up for doing some fun stuff. So yeah, that pre-wedding preparation is really crucial, isn't it?
Well, even if a planner books me for a wedding, I do not commission any client without meeting them in person. In person, I mean by Zoom or Skype. And then in the build-up, 6 weeks before I send them a wedding details form, that's when I start talking to you or any other planners, if planners are involved as well. And then I have another Skype call with them, where I go meticulously through that wedding details form. But for me, it's really, really important to build a rapport with the couple, and as you say, know the dynamics between them and know how I can be with them. And often I get grooms that don't really want to film, so you know, I have to work harder with them as well. But I do think that's really, really important, because it means that there's no surprises on the day for me. And that allows me to do the best job I possibly can. Now, I know videographers that just go in and go with the flow, and I'm not sure how many times I look at my call sheet. But the point is, I've called the photographer beforehand. I've called the priest at the church. I will never arrive to a venue and find out I can't film, but I hear about that all the time.
Not being checked.
Well, what? You know, you have to ring the priest and the vicar and have a chat with them, because on the day, I'm so focused in setting up that it would appear rude if I hadn't have called them first to introduce myself. But definitely, I think when you get to a certain level of market and you charge the prices that I charge, you need to make sure that you're giving your couple an experience and an amazing service, not just a film. And every film is going to be completely different. So therefore, you need to be on top of your game.
Yeah, absolutely. It is. It's about that whole experience, isn't it? It's, as I've said to loads of my couples over the past week, and loads of inquiries this week, saying, gosh, when you're researching, it's not a case of just nothing is these days, just Googling it and going, I'll just pick the first one. You've got to really really kind of research and look into who they're booking, and kind of gain that experience. Hopefully they're only going to do it once, so they'd want to have an amazing experience and not regret it or go in hindsight, we should have done. I mean, that brings me on, I suppose, to I find a lot of clients, couples, videography isn't at the top of the list. I think it's getting further up list. You know, when I started 17 years ago, it was kind of unheard of. It was photography, absolutely, and photographers might be there for, you know, a shorter time than they are nowadays, but videography, it wasn't really such a thing that was that you had at weddings, or it was an absolute luxury. And I remember you know, about 15, 16 years ago, it was a bit like you see TV productions, these huge cameras with the big booms and, you know, really invasive kind of filming. So how would you advise, like, say, my couples that are thinking, I'm not too sure about having a videographer? What would you say to them to encourage them I mean, I know, and I'm singing and dancing about videographers because I think it's amazing. I think to bring your wedding back to life after the day is just second to none. But what would you say to them?
There's a couple of things going on at the moment. Just as the photography market got oversaturated, as is the videography market now. And so all videographers, if they want to stand out from the crowd and set themselves apart from the rest, then they need to be doing something different. And I would say that the problem is that it's really difficult for couples, because they get bombarded with generic films that don't really do much. And I say to clients who are saying, sometimes I'm thinking either photography or videography, I say, no, you really do need a photographer. But what are you looking for in a videographer? Because if you're just looking for an average music montage, that's not going to come back to life with any ambient audio or clips from the sound of the speeches, then I'd invest more in a good photographer, because you need to invest in those memories. And if you haven't got a big budget, then you're going to be disappointed. Not a big budget, but you need to have a reasonable budget. Otherwise, you're going to be disappointed.
Be realistic.
You're going to get something generic. You're going to get a wedding film that looks the same as every other wedding film that videographer makes. I mean, I truly tell stories. So all of my wedding films look different and feel different because I'm telling the story of that couple. It's not just
Shitting! You just got a text message. Oosh.
But yeah, I mean, the camera here behind, that's I use a Canon EOS R. And this is the camera that I have with me all day.
Oh my God, it's tiny compared to like what
actually, I've got a zoom lens on it at the moment, so it is quite big, really. But I have this all day with a steady pod, which is a bit like a monopod, but a stable shot because it's how my filming works. And then I have two or three other cameras for the ceremony or the speeches. But it's really, really important that that you are discreet on the day because people don't want to. You don't want to be in people's space. The only thing that identifies me to be something different is the microphone on the top. Last year, I filmed a wedding at La Fortaleza, and on day 3 at the pool party, the father of the groom came up to me. The father of the bride came up to me and said to me, "Where have you been all weekend?"
Yeah.
So, pardon? I've been here all the time. So
because you were so discreet, though.
So it's getting the message across to couples that good videographers are discreet.
Yeah.
It's getting a message of find out what you want in that wedding film, because not everybody wants what I offer. I have a very niche product, and also everyone that invests in me buys into me and my ethos. They buy into the experience that I sell an experience, not just a wedding film.
Yeah.
And so people need to buy into that. But your job, Lucy, is to make sure that people know what the differences are. And it's also for photographers. Photographers also need to say, well, this is what you're investing in if you have a well-made wedding film. I get a lot of clients that come to me and they say they've got the same or less to spend on a photography budget.
Yeah.
I'm not going to book anyone that feels that way. It takes me 5 to 7 days to edit a wedding afterwards. A lot of post-production goes into that, with the sound design, the color grading, the telling of the story.
Yeah, that's what people don't get, though, do they?
Educating people.
Yeah,
Lucy.
it's so much more than just on the day. It's like when I'm trying to exactly that, educate people about planning. It's like, well, there used to be a thing that went around about saying there's 250 hours to plan the average wedding. I can absolutely hand on heart guarantee it's way more than 200. For one of my weddings I plan, it's way more. And all the post-wedding stuff, like making sure things are returned and any refunds are due, or any balance payments finished off, or making sure that Granny got some piece of cake before she left, and all those little things I tie up. And so there is it's not just being there on the day in order to kind of deliver the best ultimate experience, like you said. And for you, it's all the editing.
Even when you do on the day planning, I know that a load goes into that, and I actually don't know. I mean, I have a CRM. I use Studio Ninja to help me work through my workflow. And otherwise, I couldn't. The things that you have to remember. I mean, when I see your call sheets, it's literally, I'm like, it is minute by minute. It is every little placemat set out.
Has to be.
And that's what you have to be when you get to the level where we are, Lucy. When we've got high-end clients that are wanting something really special, then we need to make sure that what we give them is a safe pair of hands. And that's all of us. That's not just you, that's me, that's the photographer, that's the florist.
Yeah, it's the whole team, isn't it?
And that we all work together.
Yeah.
We all work together as a team.
Yeah, completely. Absolutely. Well, we know when we've had some fun with a wedding we did before Christmas. So can't wait to see that.
I mean, I was out there with the photographer, Ryan Brown. It was dark. I took my camera out to see what I could get. But I was literally holding lights up for him so he could get those amazing shots for the client. And yes, I had my camera locked off and in record just in case that I got some shots. I did actually, but I was out there working with him to make sure that he got the shots that he wanted, because we were all working together, and that's what's really important.
Exactly. So so when then you touched on working with planners, so what I suppose benefits do you find, and this is planners in general, obviously not, we've worked loads together, but planners in general, what benefits do you find having a planner, because you're so meticulous with your kind of details that you need? So what benefit is it to you?
I mean, I'll be honest, if my clients don't have a planner, a lot of the time I end up being a bit of a mini planner for them. I have to go through the timings with them. I have to manage expectations, and I have to have many conversations with them that you might be having with them. And then of course on the day, it's not my job to be calming people's nerves or getting on my hands and knees to fix shoes, which I've done before, when I should be filming that moment.
Yeah, because then you might miss something you need to film.
Fixing dresses, helping them get in the dress. How many times I've been lying on the floor with my hand up going, put your foot in the, and I'm like thinking, I should be filming this, not doing. And that's obviously, so I think that it's really, really important. I love working with planners because, well, I love working with planners that do their job well. And I'm sure it's the same with you wanting to and enjoying working with all the other suppliers that do their job well. A bad planner can make my day hell. Because they can only see it from their point of view, and sometimes they only see their point of view, not even the couples, or they don't see the bigger picture. So I work I love working with planners that I know and trust, and know that I can come to them and say, listen, I need your help with this or that. So I think it's really, really valuable. I think it's valuable in the build up to the day. Lots of conversations you've already had with couples that I don't need to worry about. I know that when a client of mine has come through you, I know that they've given themselves enough time between the ceremony and the speeches, and you've talked to them about the options, about what they miss, and those timings are really crucial. I don't have to then go, no, that you can't do it in half an hour. So that's really important. But that's about you working with videographers that give you that feedback and also come to you and say, you can't, this is not, we can't do this.
Exactly.
But I'll want to mention here, it's really, really important. I don't work with planners that take kickbacks, or that come to me and say that I have to either work under their brand or I have to pay them a commission. And I don't do that, or make them a film for free. I've made you a film, but you pay for it. So I don't do that, because planners should be working, in my opinion, with suppliers they have experience with. But not only that, because you've got to try new people, but people that they love their work, they
trust,
inspired by them, that they work well with, and they know that their client is going to have an amazing job, book of images, whatever it is, flowers. It shouldn't be about me giving you a percentage of what my fee is. That's for me that's just wrong. Maybe it's not business minded, but for me it's not good for the client, it's not good for you, it's not good for me.
I think it's about that trust, isn't it? It's like I always say to my couples, or when someone's inquiring me, it's a bit, my job is a bit like a matchmaking service, and it kind of matching the right suppliers to them that suit their style, their budget, the venue that they're going to, the kind of their personalities and stuff. And it's more, I'd sooner, my reputation is worth more, and I'd sooner get it right and they all have an amazing time, amazing wedding, and the buzz about it's all brilliant, and the feedback and the pictures we all get as a team and everything. I think that's invaluable. That's worth far more than any kickback.
So can I ask you a question? How does it feel when you try and match someone up and they don't select them? Because we've had that before when you've recommended me and it's not come through. You'd have been perfect, and it's disappointing for me, but it's probably a bit for you. You're the matchmaker. It must hurt.
It is hard. It is hard, and it's gutting. I've had a couple recently who are getting married. Are getting married in a couple, not next year, 2022, and a lot of the people I've suggested, they've kind of not found fault with, but they found other people, and that's fine. There's just 3 kind of suppliers. Everyone else, they have taken my recommendations. They've not booked a videographer yet. But you, of course, were on the list. But they've gone off and chosen other people, and that's fine. But what? For example, I'm not going to mention any suppliers, but one of them, I just went back and said, right, we'll just consider this, consider that, ask this, ask that. And they came back, so we asked all those, and you're right. And I was like, well, there you go. I couldn't say that to them, but it was just this is why I recommend these people, because I'm 5 steps ahead of you. I already know they do X, Y, Z.
You've done the research.
And so you've gone and found someone else and they don't do X, Y, and Z, so we're back to square one. But it's fine, they can have who they like, as long as I know I've pointed out and given my advice and my help. It's ultimately up to them who they choose. Yes, there's a little bit inside me that goes, oh, gutted, because it would have been amazing. But it's their choice. I can only advise.
And people think that it's just a one-way street, but we worked on a wedding in December that
Yeah.
I recommended you for.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it works always. Photographers think that videographers don't recommend them, and the videographers are the last to be booked. But I have a lot of clients that still haven't found a photographer.
Yeah.
I rang you in December. I knew the venue. I knew the event that this client would really need a proper planner, an on the day planner, and you know, and I contacted you, and that's what it's about. It's about, you know, taking everything in and helping each other.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I don't think there's a chronological order anymore either. It seems that a lot of people, brides, I mean, I did speak to I spoke to a photographer the other day, and he said, yeah, well, this couple, they've booked me. They haven't got a venue. They've got a few date options. They haven't booked a venue. They haven't booked anything else. They know they want that photographer. And that's great. It doesn't happen in the kind of old style of, you get your venue, you get your register. I mean, most do, but it doesn't always. And so, it's great that, we all recommend, you know, who we like to work with and who we know, which is why, gosh, you can't rest on your laurels. You have to be on your game every wedding, don't you? As you would be anyway, but you have to be completely on it, and you just never know who's going to recommend you, whether it's a guest or another supplier or anything.
I don't get a lot of guests recommending me. They like to keep clients like to keep me to themselves.
Yeah, well, there is that. I do get a lot of people saying, "No, don't do that wedding because you did mine." If it's a friend or something, I'm like, you know, my ultimate answer to that is no. Let me do that wedding, because I will make sure it's not anything like yours.
Anything like yours, yeah.
Because if you get another planner, they might see your wedding and go, I'm going to copy that. So actually, I'll make it very different. So then who in your kind of, I suppose, videography or cinematography, who is your inspiration? Who do you look to?
Well, I laughed when I saw this because I used to get bogged down with all this, but in the end, I used to find it really detrimental because I felt all the time that I couldn't be like that person, and I wanted to be. And so, you know, when I first started out, there were certain videographers that really inspired me. Jeff Wood in Cheshire really inspired me and helped me, you know, with my first DSLR camera. Alejandro Calor, and through Alejandro, I met lots of other videographers who I still love their work now. Gianni Silva. But I work more, but now I work in a different way. I have some videographers that I really love and respect, and we work together. We send each other our films, like Daniel from Juno Wedding Films and John Bird. So there's quite a few. But do they inspire me? I think it's who inspires me now are my couples and my couple stories. Yeah. So you know, if I have a client and I had a client a few years ago, 2 clients wanted to book me for the same day. One, a beautiful wedding on Lake Geneva, big wedding, 120 guests. The other one, couple coming from Texas, 15 guests to Davos. But their story was much more interesting. She was following in the footsteps of her grandmother, who came over from the States in the Second World War and met her grandfather here during the war. And she was following their footsteps. And to me, while that was much more a challenging wedding to film and edit, to tell that story, that was the one I chose. So I am very much inspired by my couples and their stories. And when I get an inquiry through, if someone's filled in a contact form and they put very, very little detail, because that's the first point I ask them for their story, I know that couple really isn't for me. It's when I get couples that write an essay. I've just had a booking for 2 girls in November this year, and the detail they went into, I was virtually crying when I was sent their email. And I knew before we even met on the phone that we were gonna, you know, there wasn't going to be much apart from maybe budget in the end, but they wanted to make it happen no matter how much, and that's the most important thing. So my clients inspire me.
Good answer.
And that's where I'm evolving all the time in trying to get better as a filmmaker and a storyteller, because I'd say I'm a storyteller first and foremost and filmmaker second. So while there are many videographers out there that I look at their work and I think that's great, I think that especially if I was talking to other videographers now that are starting out, the girls that are in my film Facebook group, I would say stop running around looking at other videographers and trying to be them. And when people come on my workshops, I'm not trying to create miniature me's, although it would be nice to have people film for me. I am trying to educate them how to be a better filmmaker as themselves and find their own style and their own niche.
Aww, fab.
True story.
And then so then you've talked about loads of amazing locations and stuff that you've filmed at. So What's the most challenging wedding, and why was it challenging?
I've got two weddings which are very different to mention, and I'll do them as briefly as I can. The one logistically that was the most difficult was a Philippine celebrity wedding of Vicky Bello and Hayden Coe in Paris. It was challenging because I only worked with the planner and I never met the couple. They interviewed lots of videographers in Paris beforehand, but I didn't know if it was a bit of a fake inquiry, so I never went. And they commissioned me.
I remember you telling me this.
Mostly because of my BBC background, and I had lots of other videographers that said, well, we went to Paris to meet this couple, and I'm like, oh. Anyway, so Vicky Bellows in her 60s, and her daughter had a wedding Lake Garda, I think, the year before, and it'd been very cinematic, like a perfume advert, totally different from my intimate storytelling style. And they wanted something different, so they commissioned me. But when I got there, I learned on the first day when I got to Paris, which was 2 days before the wedding, there were 8 photographers that have flown over from Los Angeles. God. And there was myself and my assistant.
Oh my God.
And I knew, I mean,
hang on, why did they need eight photographers?
This is because this is what people, they just don't think. Anyway, so I called in another videographer who flew in straight away, which was brilliant. So then there was 3 of us. But the interesting thing is, so we had about 6 cameras for the church wedding, the wedding in the church, which was just a normal church. But there was a party on the boat before, and the night before, and the party on the night of the wedding was at Palais Garnier. So it was just huge, proper sound systems.
Yeah,
it was amazing. It was just little old me with my team of 2, which shows you that you really don't need all this craziness. But the photographers, they'd stand next to each other on the same lenses taking the same shot, and you'd be like, and
what's the point?
Actually, the first kiss during the ceremony, a locked off camera of mine got, because they were in front of every single one of my other cameras. So that logistically was hard. But what was really amazing was when they came back to me, they said they loved the films much more than the photography work. So I was really pleased about it.
Good.
And then last summer, the challenge was I had 3 weddings in a row. EOS, Lake Thun here in Switzerland, and then the Malibu wedding, literally within a few days of each other. And when I got to EOS, I didn't even get as far as EOS. I got to Santorini, and I couldn't get across to EOS. I didn't do my research, also known as the Windy Island, because all the ferries were cancelled. So
I remember you telling me this
I
too.
always go a few days ahead, so I did get there the day before the wedding, but all the stuff that we planned on filming we couldn't plan. And then of course the day of the wedding, I was meant to fly back. I was meant to get the ferry back the next day, so I could get back here in time to Switzerland, to get my flight, to get back to Milan, to come on the train back to Switzerland, to make that wedding, which was a 2-day wedding, up Jungfrau Joch, which is a big mountain here, and then to go to Bern to film their wedding, and then Lake Thun, and then to fly to Zurich, then to go to Zurich.
I think you need a PA.
Yeah, it was all right. It was a nightmare. No, everything was lined up. I was really organised. But the first part of the wedding, of my first wedding. But I always have a backup plan. It went okay. I think the worrying moment was I was getting a ferry the day before the wedding, and some of the guests were not getting one till later on, and the wind was due to pick up. And then the night of the wedding, I had to I was meant to be getting a ferry at like 1 a.m, and they'd said, oh, we won't finish partying by then. But my ferry notified me it was actually going to be at 3 a.m. So when everybody had left to go party in EOS, I was left at the venue waiting for my taxi.
Oh no!
At 3 a.m. Oh my God! Oh, I did do a live, my first ever Facebook live. One of my first ever Facebook lives when I got to the airport in Santorini. I was virtually in tears. It was like, oh my God, get me home.
Yeah.
All a challenge, but all good fun. That's when you go, why am I doing this?
Yeah. But that's it. Don't you just thrive off the challenge? I do. I love it. I love any challenges, and as long as I love going into a wedding thinking, I've planned everything. It's all, I've looked at kind of, road works, road closures. Gosh, I planned 2 weddings through the Tour de Yorkshire. Oh my God, I had to be, and it'd be ringing the police, ringing the, all of the Team Yorkshire, you know, road traffic people. God, it was, but we got it sorted. We got police escorts and all sorts. It was great, but it's thinking not just one step ahead, literally 5 steps ahead when you're doing all the kind of stuff like, like us, or well, you all over the world, me all Europe and stuff. You have to really plan ahead. And you know, I remember going to a site visit to Italy to my wedding, one of my weddings there. Got there, Monarch Airlines went bust literally within minutes of me arriving at the airport. So whilst everyone else was frantically running around, I had to then just go to the in fact, I think I did it on my phone, just rebook the flights for the bride. It was a site visit, so it was fine, it wasn't the wedding, but and then you just have to think on your feet and get stuff done. But you get there in the end, don't you?
I love it.
yeah. So, well, I think we're just about done with the questions. So, anything else you want to say to any brides watching, or?
No, not really. I mean, all I would say, obviously, it feels weird to not have a whole conversation and not talk about what the elephant in the room. But, you know, I recently asked you to be part of a blog post that I wrote about, you know, what potential brides should be thinking about now, and even those that have got bookings for this year and those that are thinking of booking next year. All suppliers, not just wedding videographers, all suppliers are getting booked up. You're getting booked up because you've got postponements and new bookings. So, you know, for anyone that's thinking of getting a planner or thinking of having a videographer, 2021 is not your year to wait till last minute.
No, get cracking.
It really is time to kind of get the planning on and that. But yeah, I wish you all the luck. I'm here in Switzerland. We start slowly, step by step, coming out of our restrictions on Monday.
Jealous.
My next wedding is in September because of all the cancellations, and it's here in England, but it's a couple from Ireland. Well, actually, they're in London, but their guests are coming from Ireland. Right. They're here in this village. That's where the wedding is. It's my most local wedding ever.
Ever? Oh my God, that's amazing. Let's hope it happens.
So I just really, really hope that they can get everybody over here. Then I have one in October in the UK, and then a lovely one at the Corinthia in London in December. So yeah, really, really, we've got to all stay positive now and work together. And but it's been really lovely to catch up with you today.
You too, absolutely. Thank you for answering all my questions. I hope that's helped anybody watching.
Sorry about the blip at the beginning.
You know.
But we haven't had any questions, have we?
I haven't had any what? No, I don't think there's any questions. I'm just scrolling through. I think people just saying, who was it? Oh yeah, it was Sarah. Hi Sarah at Leafy Couture, saying it was one of her biggest regrets, not having a videographer. There you go. It's always hindsight. Floral Porter saying that. Yeah. It's
but if anyone has any questions afterwards for either of us, you know, they can just contact. Bear in mind, I'm not really good at my direct messaging on Instagram. I need to get across that.
Yeah, I think I need to teach Emma about Instagram and how it works. But we got there.
Oh no, I'm going to be doing lives all the time now. Over the fear.
Yeah, we'll do it all the time, so she says.
And I apologise if I have my BBC voice on for any of this, because normally when someone sticks a fat camera in front of me, I suddenly start speaking all proper, and everyone's like, "Oh, is that your BBC voice?" I'm like, "Sorry."
Oh no, you sounded fine. You're fine.
Sounded like I do when we work together.
Yeah, like just running around mad like when we work together. Yeah. Well, thank you again.
So lovely. Thank you so much. So I don't even know how to sign off now. Do you just?
It just should say end at the top corner. But I'll do it.
I haven't got that. You see, I've got different information.
I'll axe you out. I'm
going for a run in the mountains now.
Right. Yeah. You can just get lost. I go for a run in the sunshine.
It's going to go after my glass of wine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm going to bring wine next time. Well, enjoy your rum, and I'll speak to you soon.
Yeah, we'll maybe do it the other way around next time, and I'll ask you lots of questions.
That's a good idea. Okay, definitely, you're on. Right, take care. Bye, everyone.
Bye.